All right, folks, Donald Trump's powerful speech last night in the Bronx was a message to Americans of all colors, and that's the subject of the riff. So Donald Trump spoke to a crowd of 10 or 20,000 people last evening at the Crotona Park in the South Bronx. And here's the key point. They were primarily people of color, a most unusual Republican rally in a most unusual place, with a most unusual crowd for a Republican rally in a most unusual place. Take a listen to what Donald Trump said about this unusual story.
It doesn't matter whether you're black or brown or white or whatever the hell color you are. It doesn't matter. We are all Americans, and we're going to pull together as Americans.
All right there. That is the sociology about that crowd, and it's a shot across the bow of Joe Biden and the entire Democratic Party nationwide. Governor Kathy Hochul of New York, one of the very many Democrats who simply do not understand what's going on in Trump world. She said Donald Trump is inviting, quote, all his clowns to a place like the Bronx, period, end quote. Hochul's one of many Democrats that don't understand the Trump coalition of working folks of all colors who are busting up the traditional Democratic Party. So what's their beef? Well, it's high inflation, falling real wages. It's a wide open southern border where roughly 10 million illegal Biden immigrants have taken jobs from Native Americans and slashed wages for ordinary homegrown working folks who show up every day, do their jobs, pay their taxes, and now realize Biden policies have mangled the American dream. But unlike Joe Biden, Donald Trump has a positive vision of the future. This is so important. Hear it for yourself.
We're going to throw out Bidenomics and going to replace it with Maganomics, like your hats. I will give you low taxes, low inflation, low interest rates, rising wages, growing incomes, and fair trade for the American worker. And we will make energy affordable again by saying, drill, baby, drill. Drill, baby, drill.
There we go. Drill, baby, drill. Last weekend, Joe Biden gave a speech about fear, racism, Jim Crow, and victimization to a commencement address at Morehouse College in Atlanta, Georgia, one of America's best schools, whose graduates typically earn far more starting salaries than even the national average. Did Biden talk about hope? No. Did he talk about opportunity? No. Did he talk about the American dream? No. He gave a typical far-left, racialized, fear-mongering, condescending statement that basically said to this historical black men's college, you're not going to succeed. It was just pathetic. Mr. Trump is the exact opposite. He offers hope, opportunity, a dream of what the future should look like, and yes, MAGA, make America great again. He offers a series of very serious policy changes, and it's a truly optimistic and it's a Reagan-esque message. And additionally, remember, Mr. Trump spent part of his Bronx speech talking about his career as a young construction worker and real estate developer. Now, let's not forget this. He practically rebuilt the Manhattan skyline. In his own words, take a listen to this.
The Wallman Rink in the middle of Central Park, you know that story? That had been under construction for more than 10 years. As you know, the rink was completed in just 3 months for far less than the $2 million projected. I built the Grand Hyatt Hotel on 42nd Street and Park Avenue, and as part of that, I renovated the beautiful Grand Central Terminal, did a really good job on that.
And on and on and on. Trump was, after all, a very successful businessman with a background of accomplishment, and he will undoubtedly bring like-minded people into his administration if he's reelected. The New York Post editorial page put it thus, and I'll quote, "Our advice to Trump, do this more. Your business background was part of what appealed to voters in 2016, end quote. Folks, I couldn't have said it any better myself." That's the riff.